Well, it's that time of the week once again. Let me know if you guys can hear the audio. I believe you can. I guess I could test it myself. Yeah, okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. GM. You know, it's funny. I absolutely hate that stupid expression. I don't know why. It's just so dumb. It's so dumb. See how crazy my hair is. Oh. Got rocking neck beard, full neck beard. No joke. This is a Celsius shirt under here. Celsius. Street cred. Bruno, biddest of coins. Bud is here. Joey. Victor, Nick. Thanks for hanging out. Toss me a like, please. I was told to say that for the algo. Or don't. A dislike is also fine. You know, actually the worst thing you can do for any content creator is to click on their stuff and immediately leave and do nothing, no interactions. That's the worst. So if you ever want to really screw somebody over. Foot massage engaged. Nice. Okay, good. What do we want to talk about today? I don't even know. I mean, we can look at charts, obviously. News-wise, I don't think there's anything like super big. I'm trying to think what's even happened. I feel like things are slowing down a little bit because of the holiday, obviously. Let's start with legacy because it's my stream and we can. Dollar sold off, so that's good. That's what we want to see. There's a race to zero between dollar and ETH BTC. If we pop on the cloud, we're bearish dollar, which should be good for risk. And that includes crypto, that includes everything. That includes collectibles, that includes watches, anything silly like that. That's everything. That's the whole ball game. It should generally act as a tailwind for us. And that's what we want to see going into halving, going into ETF stuff. I mean, look at the meme coinery, right? I think that happens less when there's a strong dollar. I could be wrong, but seems to be some sort of correlation there. So to me, that looks bearish. I'm not even biased. I mean, look at the inverted version. If you ever want to invert something, you can right-click the scale on TradingView. Anyway, this looks incredibly bullish inverted, doesn't it? I mean, it looks so good. So weekly looks like it wants to be bearish. You don't have a bearish TK cross there just yet. And there's been a lot of people lately talking about the lagging span, which, hey, look, respect to those people, man. I'm not one of those people. But if you're looking for confirmations on the checklist, like for this, for example, for a bearish checklist, below the cloud, good. Bearish cloud, good. You don't have a bearish TK cross yet. And the lagging span is still in the cloud in price. So the next stages of bearishness would be bearish TK cross, lagging span below price, right? Very similar to the opposite of what happened over here. So if we start to see that, which I believe we will eventually on DXY here, generally that's been super bullish for everything that we care about, right? Anyway, guys are popping off in chat. Popping off. No, I have a hat. I can put it on, but I'd much rather wear headphones. That hides my hair pretty good. Yeah, like, subscribe. Florida. How do you even say that? Well, let's just say Florida. Florida's here. Florida. Golshi. Aquarius answering. Some of these names, man, they're just so creative. I don't even know where you guys come up with this. Goku says Solana not big. Yep, it is. We'll get to that. I think one of the reasons alts are up big is because of this chart right here, for sure. Sound went away? I hope not. Do you expect a massive drop or a Santa rally? I mean, it looks like we're getting the Santa rally, doesn't it? Did you survive the bear market of yesterday in Legacy? Legacy's up, back up today. I mean, the VIX is up. All the bears, I'm sure, are absolutely euphoric over the end of day drop yesterday. VIX rising. Zero Hedge going in overdrive. Tweeting that out, I'm sure. I do need the trading gloves because my hands are cold. So why don't I just... Yeah, so anyway, DXY looks great from our vantage point, right? Looks super bearish. I don't think there's anybody who's thinking that this chart looks bullish. I mean, look at the daily lagging span. Looks good. Looks good for bearish continuation. You got a little bit of a bear flag there. I think it's always worth looking at every chart you can and tracking it over time, like over multiple years, and just understanding if there's a correlation there, if there's not, with stuff you care about. Just try to understand, be a student of the chart, right? Be a student of, put your system on anything and see if it makes sense. Anyway, DXY, bearish, perfect, love it. Exactly what we want to see. I talk about this a lot, but in 2 seconds, probably less than that, probably like 10 milliseconds, when you pull up a chart, you should know instantly, just off of some very basic TA, like, does this look bullish or bearish? You get people saying double top, triple top potentially. I don't even know. I just don't know how you're bearish on this chart. Maybe it doesn't keep going, but I don't think you can be default bearish because of XYZ data point until this rolls over. We look amazing on the S&P. Now, you would say, well, this weekly candle is a spinning top. Sure, but we also had 8 green candles in a row. Like, give it a little rest up here before we test all-time highs through the yearly pivot. That's good. The target next year, I think, is going to be insane. I think it's an election year. The Fed, you can be in the Fed easing camp for weakness. You can be in the Fed easing camp for real rates being too high and restrictive. I still see all the doomers talking about the same stuff. They're not wrong that you should be worried about economic weakness, but I can't use that information to trade. That's just me. Yeah, I mean, look, you can literally go through like 50 different metrics and pick 95% of them and say, this is it. This is the big one. Okay, I mean, we'll see. I can't trade that. I can't trade on that, NASDAQ looks great as well. This did hit an all-time high. Weekly candle. Here's the thing about candlesticks that not enough people talk about. So this weekly candlestick, you could say, what, inverted dragonfly. It's kind of my favorite non-candlestick pattern that people talk about. Don't talk about enough. Anyway, it's kind of reversally, kind of bearish. I don't think it's a graveyard. It's not a hanging man. What else would it be? Shooting star. I don't think it's that either. But what really matters is the next candle. So next week. If next week closes below this week's close, then the bearish argument gets more convincing. Here you could say, again, we're up 8 weeks in a row. It's time to just chill out for a second, So I don't think it's super concerning just yet. But obviously the cloud, phenomenal, right? I mean, what else do you want? This is that's crypto cloud. What else do you want? It looks great on any way you can measure it on trend. Obviously, there's a chart pattern there as well. Looks phenomenal. Yeah, phenomenal. You can go to QQQ. I think that's where I had the chart pattern. You can't be bearish that, can you? Who's bearish? Who's bearish in Legacy? Let me know. Then let me know if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Let me know if you voted for Trump. Just let me know in the chat. I just feel like, not that there are a lot of bullish Democrats in the market. I feel like most people in the markets are Republican anyway, but I see this odd correlation between the doomers selling you gold and you know, the bears that think we're going to go to collapse. Anyway, indices look good. Dixie looks good. Something else that I was looking at was reverse repo. If we look at reverse repo in the white, it's inverse reverse repo. So as reverse repo is bringing liquidity back into the ecosystem, there's clearly a correlation with Bitcoin bottoming, S&P bottoming, and we also have some room here on the reverse repo. If we put this at 0, got some room. You know, we're at 779 billion. That's not going to drain to 0 completely, most likely. But we got room to keep adding liquidity. Looks good. Looks good. I don't know. Like, this to me is way more important than any economic indicator. Way more important than treasury auctions, because we have all this money just sitting, waiting to absorb the treasuries. And that is acting as a liquidity injection. So I'll get more bearish when this drains to close to 0. But until then, we're good. Looks good. I don't know. It's hard. I guess if you have bearish goggles on, all you're looking at, you know, I heard a lot of people talking about the bear div on the S&P, which is 100% real, no doubt. This is obviously a bear div. You're getting a higher high in price, lower high in RSI. But the thing with divs is it doesn't always immediately roll over, right? You know, look at this div. This isn't 2021, but just as an example on this chart, this entire move would classify as a weak bearish divergence, right? When you're getting equal highs in RSI, higher highs in price, that's a bearish divergence. That lasted for what, 6 months? You know, different circumstances, but there's no guarantee that this is the rollover candle, you know? I don't know. I just don't really see a reason to be default bearish. That's all. I think you're much happier as a dumb bull than a smart bear, as they say. So that all looks good. That looks like what we want to see. One other thing we don't want to see on the crypto side is legacy collapsing, because then it becomes very hard for Bitcoin to go the other direction. Most of the time, most of the time that acts as a headwind. So it's good that, Bitcoin is to legacy what alts are to Bitcoin. So as long as legacy isn't collapsing, Bitcoin's all gravy, right? If legacy's consolidating at highs, bullish for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's consolidating at highs, bullish for alts. But the moment Bitcoin pulls back 10%, alts pull back 20, 30%, right? So we look good. So far, so good on the legacy side. I don't see any issues there at all. I can't try to manifest something. Maybe that bear div continues, which it probably will as we go higher. And then we pull back to the breakout point and then keep going. I don't know. It's hard for me to be bearish in the moment. Now I know a lot of people want me to talk about Sol, but I'm going to talk about DOT, because what a move today. I don't know if a certain somebody is talking about DOT. Certain individuals are pumping DOT. I have no idea, but it's a 18% today. Sol's up 12, DOT's up 18. Not that I care. You know, I dare you to name one project on DOT that has traction. There isn't one. You can't. You just can't. There's no real reason for this to be up other than some sort of rotation nonsense, which is, who cares why, right? But it is, it's up. What I had said on the video a couple days ago, some of these charts, ADA being one of them, had this, like, you know, is this a triple top head and shoulders versus some sort of flag triangle? But we got our answer today, clearly. As far as where does this go? You know, I think eventually DOT runs like the others, just because it's alive, it exists. It doesn't need a reason to go up other than it hasn't, right? So as long as the Sol party continues on, which it in the moment has, again, I don't really know why. At least Sol has more going for it than DOT. You can say that much. Sol's got a phone. Does DOT have a phone? I'm kidding, obviously, but it looks good. You know, there's no real analysis to do up here other than 140 is the target. You know, we can take off the cloud and just say, all right, what's the 50% retracement? That's going to be about 140. What's the yearly pivot? That's also 125. Okay. What's like a logical level? That's also 140. We blew past this resistance. So I think it depends on your time horizon, depends on size, leverage. You know, I've got some spot Sol that I'm just going to hold on to in the moment. I think if it looks angrier in the hundreds, then I'll shave off some again. But I don't think that, again, most of these charts, there's nothing to do for me. I don't know how most people are trading this right now, but I don't think there's some like urgency here to do anything. You know, we literally painted a rising wedge that we broke up from, and before the bullish rising wedgers get after me, that's not normal behavior. Not normal behavior. In a, you know, if this was actually going to break down, right, it would have done so. It wouldn't have kept going here. I think there was probably a bear div there as well. There's more of a bear div now. There's more of a bear div on the daily, right? So that's probably a reason to let some go, but clearly the psychological level is going to be what everyone's watching for, which is $100, right? That's what people are watching for. So, you know, I don't think there's anything to do per se. I think when this eventually tops, the next thing to do is to measure the 50% retracement from like 25. Currently that's 60. So this is what I would look for on a retrace to get back in or to add to a position, something like that. That's kind of dependent on the chart itself. In the moment, you know, what do you do, right? Like let's go to INJ, for example. What do most people do when a chart looks like this? They are panicked and nervous, I assume. Because it's at an all-time high. It's literally in price discovery, right? There's really nothing else to watch for. On the daily, there's not really a bear div. There's a weak bear div. Again, it's an equal high on RSI. But like, you're more likely to lose, well, I wouldn't say it like that. You're more likely to miss out on profits if you're just continuously closing, right? We had this ascending triangle Adam and Eve broke out, great. We had this mini consolidation, broke way higher, and now you can see the consolidations are getting quicker. So yeah, you could go to like, I don't know what, the 12 hour? Is there any trailing stops on the 12-hour. 12-hour gives you a trailing stop at 28. Volume's picked up though, so if there's no div on volume, this is just, I'm just trying to analyze, right? Like Sol versus INJ situation. I think a trailing stop at 28 is fine, but that's, you know, a 40% drop, right? Sol on the 12-hour, your trailing stop would be 67, but again, that's a pretty significant drop. So it depends on where'd you get in, what are you looking for, you know, what's your time horizon, that sort of thing. But I don't think there's anything to do here on pretty much anything. These are my cloud settings, 2060, 120, 30. That's for crypto. For legacy, I use 1852, 104, 26. Default is 926, 52, 26. I adjust that slightly, doubling it, and then for crypto, I change it slightly. And the cloud purists hate me for that, but it works for me. So that's why I do it. I guess one other thing you could do on this is measure the rising wedge higher for a target. That gives you 96 to 107. If you're looking for stuff, right? But generally, I don't really see weakness here. You got strong volume coming in after the breakout of the rising wedge. So looks good. Looks good. I don't know what else to say. The Sol ETH chart, I mean, kind of embarrassing, isn't it? Kind of embarrassing. Yeah, if you guys want me to look at anything, just let me know when I get through the mental list I have. My question for the Sol people is, do you rotate? I don't think people will, because they're less tribal probably than they used to be. But maybe a smart trade would be to rotate into ETH if this actually hits 0.05. Just a little bit. You know, let's say like 20% of the position or something. Because ETH is either not going to do anything or it's going to do something, right? It's binary. So I'm in the camp that it will eventually move. There's clearly no weakness in this chart whatsoever right now, right? But it's going to be interesting if it gets to 0.5, what happens. Yeah, I agree, Zoltar. No one's rotating right now. There's been a lot of ETH cope and ETH anxiety on the timeline. So we're getting closer. Just the sentiment check. We're getting closer for sure. I guess we could put the cloud on this through the weekly cloud. I'm sure it's, yeah, it looks crazy good on the daily still. It's still, you know, it's at infinity outer space based on the TK lines. A bit of a bear div-ish, but it's too early to call that. So yeah, I'd agree. The TA doesn't really suggest the need to rotate here just yet. Look at weekly. Weekly RSI made a new high. I just think by the time we get to 0.5, then you know, it's either good night ETH forever or things are going to start rotating around. That'd be my guess. Again, another psychological level, right? $100 Sol, 0.5 on the pair. What I haven't looked at is BTC, Sol BTC. I think that's also getting close. Not really. RSI looks okay. I mean, it's at what? 83. I say it's okay. It's, you know, maybe the play is waiting for a, I'm talking to myself here because I'm trying to think of what I'm going to do with my Sol. I think you're either waiting for the edge to edge here on Sol BTC, or you're waiting for 100. You know, you're waiting for 3 digits and seeing what that looks like. But this is a, you know, a monster trade, obviously, from whatever that is to whatever this is, 200%. Crazy trade. Absolutely wild. No one's asking me about Sol either. Everyone's asking me about, you know, other stuff, which is fine, but it's a good sign for Sol. I don't see a lot of Sol cheerleaders in general, other than the, you know, normies who bought the bonk phone. That's Sol. Let's look at BTC. I think the big thing for BTC I was watching was this little ditty here. So as a trade setup, I like this as a long trade, breakout trade. With any breakout trade, in general, the moment you're comfortable starting to accumulate, that's what you do. So I don't see anything wrong with starting to open a position with the assumption that this breaks higher. Your stop loss would be the cloud, 42.3, something like that. Again, the cloud checklist is on your side here. Bullish TK recross, price above cloud, bullish cloud. Even the lagging span, for you lagging span people, is above price, above cloud. So the 4-hour looks good. There's a bunch of bottomy pattern stuff here. Adam and Eve, inverted head and shoulder. Looks good. I think the trade is accumulate here, stop loss at 42.5, and then you're adding above 44. So that's your actionable setup for 227 EST on a Thursday. The daily, so you know, I've been consistently worried about this TK C-clamp, TK disequilibrium possibility. Probably overly so, because I have a little bit of you know, PTSD from earlier this year. This is clearly the strongest we've been the entire year. Previously, we just couldn't stay out of the cloud. Now here we can't even pretend to break down below the Tenkin. So definitely different strength in the market. The Tenkin, losing the Tenkin is a sign that we've flipped momentum. So it's at 42. That's good to know. Daily fractals, your stop loss is at 40.5. So these are all part of the checklist of bearishness if we start to break down. If we lose 40.5, then I like the Tenkin. When we were back here in the 30s, we kind of lost momentum for a little bit, and that's why I was really worried we were going to try to mean revert, but didn't happen. Another thing you can watch is the 8-hour, which has been really good since the breakout, holding above the Tenkin. You know, I wasn't a believer. I was not a believer at 40, 41, whatever this was. But that was, according to the 8-hour, you know, a really good entry. So we still look good on the 4-hour, look good on the 8-hour. We look okay on the daily. I don't think there's anything super concerning. Yes, there's a bear div still. We haven't quite reset that, depending on how you want to think about that. Hasn't really touched 50, hasn't completely reset, but I like that we're slowing things down and consolidating. I like that. That's good. So I do lean bullish here if I had to pick a direction, as long as we're above whatever the 4-hour cloud is, 42.5. So I like a long here. The one thing I don't like is we've never been above the 618 in a pre-halving year, right? So this time could be different. Could be different. And everybody's looking at this level, which is a good sign. I hope tons of people try to short 48 and just get bulldozed. You know, that's the dream. But 48 is obviously the next level everyone's going to be watching, right? They're guaranteed there are shorts ready to be opened at that level. As far as the weekly cloud, we look good on the candles, right? again, like What is there to be bearish about here? We're consolidating at the high. We tried to break down, didn't. Looks good. Another caveat up here is we typically spend like 7 to 14 weeks potentially chopping around. The difference between 2019 and now is the volatility, right? Volatility now is pretty minimal relative to 2019. You tend to see higher volatility periods at extremes in, you know, top, bottom, that sort of thing. Kind of the same thing with 2016. Super volatile at the top there. And look at those week over week Chad candles. Just crazy strength. So I don't hate going higher. It's just your downside here is like 30, right? Like look at the weekly Kijun. It's at 30. That would take a very special event to get there. I think an ETF denial would get us to 30 pretty quick. But other than that, I don't know what it would take to get us to 30 from here right now. I don't even know. I can't even think of something to get us to 30. Anyway, so I don't like that our upside's kind of historically limited. Doesn't mean we can't keep going. It's just, you know, people get a little anxious, including myself, especially pre-ETF. And to me, the higher we go pre-ETF, the farther down we're probably going to drop the following day, right? You know, I expect this candle on the day to honestly look like this. Like it's going to be maybe not that thick of a body, but I think any of that is in the realm of possibility. Like, sure, why not? Why not retest 70 on a wick? You know, it's going to be, I just think it's going to be wild. Absolute wild day. The downside wick's probably less than the upside wick, but I think we are going to see this Darth Maul lightsaber candlestick for sure. I think that's almost guaranteed. It's going to get super ugly on the retrace on the day because it's probably going to pop just to some crazy number. Yeah, a lot of people like saying, look, it's not a sell the news event. Well, the exact moment it launches, or it not launches, but the announcement comes out, yeah, I expect it to be just mayhem and then immediately sell off. It might close green on the day still, right? Like if you look at, you guys can't see my calendar, but so I think the deadline is the 10th or 11th January. I think it's like the 8th to the 10th or something. Let me just pull this up. Let me look for it real quick. The reason it's important for the calendar is because I think what you don't want on the legacy side is an announcement on like a Friday after hours, because then you can't really do anything with that. During the next day, right? Because it has a whole weekend to like figure out what's going to happen. So ideally we get the announcement. I'm trying to find, is he deleting his tweets now? I'm trying to find the exact date when all this lines up. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's the 10th or 11th. Anyway, that's the middle of the week. I think there will be a trading day, legacy open, for everything else to get wild. So just something to think about. You know, doing nothing is going to be the smart thing for most people. Most people are going to just trade this wrong and get run over. Paul, I would not short anything. Shorting anything here is such a hero trade. Heroes are carried out on their shield. I would not want to be a hero here at all. You know, maybe you have some asks stacked at like 60 plus and hope to God they don't get hit, because look, I mean, I don't want to be like hyperbolic, but yeah, we could wick to all-time high. Who knows, right? On the day, who knows? I don't expect exchanges to be working as far as they're going to get overloaded, is my guess. The ask side could just go empty and then people do stupid things and buy prices that don't really exist, right? I mean, sure. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, that's Bitcoin. We look good though. I don't think there's any concern. There's nothing screaming reversal here. I'd watch the 4 hour, 8 hour. Trying to pull this up one last time. 4 hour, 8 hour, below 42.5, we get a little bit more neutral. And then ultimately it's 40, right? We lose 40 and things get a little bit more bearish. I think something else to maybe watch for on the periphery is, you know, something like this, maybe. Another ascending triangle into, man, that'd be something. Ascending triangle into January 10th. There you go. Just keep the suspense building with that 44K resistance. Anyway, that's Bitcoin. ETH kind of looks like Doge here, which is odd, but you could argue falling wedge here on super low time frames for ETH. The problem is, like, where does this go, you know? Does this go to 25? It doesn't feel like it wants to. I think this would go to 25 if Sol goes to 3 digits. I think that is probably a fair trade to watch for. The problem is, like, what do you do now? I don't know if there's anything to do now, you know? Like, let's look at Doge real quick, right? Doge, ETH. Doge, ETH. Same chart. So I think there's a descending triangle on Doge, or a falling wedge on Doge as well. Another trade to watch for. You know, anything, basically anything above here, 0.93, and I like a long trade on Doge. I do. Daily's moved up, but not much. It's in the weekly cloud, I think. Almost. So it tapped the weekly key June. So almost in the weekly cloud. It would make sense to me that if meme coins are still running, eventually somebody starts to push this up. And then that would be a move to 19. So that would be a 2x. 2x on Doge potentially. There's clearly, again, when we're talking about like mega bottomy type stuff, this is a huge Adam and Eve. That probably measures to 20 as well. Yeah, 20-ish, 1720. Let's move this down a little bit. We'll say the breakout is 10. A penny. The breakout is penny. A penny, the move to, am I reading that right? No. Breakout is a dime. Anyway, this still looks good, you know? So if Bitcoin doesn't break down, I still think this other stuff that hasn't moved yet, sure, why not? Why not? I mean, DOT's moving today. Why not? Why not Doge tomorrow, right? Back to ETH for a second. I don't really know what else to do here, right? The ETH people are clearly getting nervous that they keep losing because this chart, this chart does not look good. You're losing the weekly cloud. You're losing a multi-year level. The cloud itself for the lagging span people. Look at that. Look at that. Boom. Lagging span below the cloud. Bearish cloud. Price below cloud. Bearish TK cross. That's about as bearish as you can get on the weekly. So things do not look good there for the ETH BTC crowd. Something else is obviously just the pattern. Like, again, gun to your head. What do you do here? Do you go long or do you go short? This is, to me, and to most people, I'd imagine, an M double top. So that's a big, big issue. It's failed to make a higher high for a year. That's a big issue. And I think the next thing coming is a parabolic continuation to the downside, as I struggle to find the, you know, again, this is just, I think this is all people can see on this chart right now. So I think we're due for some puke. I don't know where, right? Again, if you measure this, it's 0.37. But not great. The other obvious level, again, is just based on the inverted head and shoulders stuff. ETH also does have a history of making these angry looking M double tops at the top before the breakdown. Trying to think if there's anything bullish here. I guess you're hoping for a bull div on RSI. But this does not look good. As I say, it doesn't look bad enough to buy. And the trend just looks bearish. That's that. It's up today, but yeah, doesn't look good. So we did ADA. Some of this other stuff like DOT, you know, like I said, can you name one project on DOT? Can anybody name a project on ADA without Googling? I dare you. I don't think you can. I don't know if one exists. Anything. NFTs. Is there any stable coins on DOT? I don't think so. So this is kind of at the whim of the market. Yes, Omar, I will look at Pepe. You want me to look at Pepe right now? Because I'll tell you, you know what? I hope it goes to zero. I don't want you to lose money. I just hope it goes to zero. Inverted head and shoulders, right? Boom. What else is there to say? I got nothing. Stop loss at whatever this level is. You know, that's it. I don't need to look at this for another second of my life. Shoot from the hip. That's all I would do there. ADA through the weekly cloud. Would be funny is if these older meme coins don't go anywhere and just hose all the people rotating into them thinking that they're going to go somewhere. That would be hilarious. Anyway, ADA still looks fine. It's in the weekly cloud. Nothing to worry about. I don't get too many people asking me about this anyway, but it's a trade, you know. AVAX, I know that a certain somebody is pumping the ever-living crap out of this thing. Super overbought. RSI is at infinity. Bear div. What else? Daily cloud is not really applicable at this point. It's just so overbought. Like, I don't even know. I don't know. All the time frames just look blown out, right? Again, I don't think there's, if you're like holding this, what do you do here? I don't know. Nothing. Like, I don't think you do anything. If you're nervous, sell half on a double. I don't know. Like, you know, we can measure, what do I have here? That didn't really, that happened, but not because of the reason I thought it was going to happen. Aside from the cloud stuff, I guess you could pick something here. I don't know, measure this. You're past that even. So I don't know, there's really no other targets left besides the 50%. You know, like there's an obvious looking target here at 55, 50, 55, 55. Is there a yearly pivot there? So we're at the yearly pivot. It looks, I don't know, look, if SOL goes to 150, AVAX is going to go fast 55, but that's a decent level to watch. Weekly cloud is at, let's go to different, weekly cloud is at 80. So, you know, maybe you let some go at 50, maybe you let some go at 80. I don't know. Looks fine. You got the entirety of, 400,000 people watching this chart because of a certain somebody. So, yeah, you got that on your side. DOT we talked about. So one thing with DOT that I see also in a lot of these charts is this potential for this into 2024. I would feel more comfortable in like the call to 30 on charts like this if we actually got a right shoulder or some variant of that into the weekly cloud. Doesn't have to happen, but it would make more sense to me. Like, it just doesn't make sense that why would DOT keep running, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm too bearish on garbage. Anyway, that looks okay. Link kind of has the ETH problem where a lot of these bankrupt companies are selling it. So it looks fine, but it's obviously not exciting. I think one thing to watch for here would be, let me just put an alert on that, a bearish TK cross. It would be one of the first to cross. So we can go, what is this? I think it's baseline, conversion line, crossing Ichimoku. That should be right. Once per bar. Because if this cross happens, that's your first chance to get out. Most of the time it doesn't actually cross before breaking down. So if it does, that's a blessing. Basically, I told you get in here at 7 and it would be telling you to get out probably around 15. If the momentum stalls continue here, that's going to happen for Link, which I think would be fine. I'd be fine with, whatever the cloud tells me makes sense to me. This probably eventually goes higher, but the question is obviously, does it break down first? I don't see, just on my Twitter, I don't see a lot of people talking about Link anymore. Obviously, they were talking about it in October, but other things have really stolen Link's thunder. Chart pattern wise, I don't really see anything specific up here. It's already getting kind of messy in the lower time frame clouds. This could recover, but if this TK cross happens within the next week, I'm out. And I'm waiting for either a breakdown or a reconsolidation, TK cross, recross, something like that. But it'll be an interesting chart to watch if that signals like, okay, it's time to get out of the pool, guys. The lightning storm's coming, RUNE is another one that sort of led early and is it has lost a lot of momentum. If we put this on linear, you can see it a lot better. But some of these early movers are slowing down. Solana obviously not, but the other thing to watch for would be triple top, head and shoulders. Even still, you'd get a TK cross here. So I'm gonna add an alert for RUNE as well, just because. See if that happens. Good to know. I got a bunch of DeFi stuff. Link. What else are we talking about? I guess we'll just move over to DeFi. A lot of this DeFi stuff just looks like total 3. You know, it's just generally basically the trading as the index is. So if the index looks healthy, you know, let's just go to total 3. If the index looks healthy, I don't think there's any like worry here that things are gonna start to melt down or anything. But this could take the entirety of 2024 to hit its targets, right? So I just think, for me, if I'm sitting in stuff, I'm not going to be rotating out of this and into Sol. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to chase that, me personally. But it looks fine. 2x on Aave if this stuff moves up. SNX, same thing. 2 to 3x. Sure. You know, again, there's not much to do here other than say, like, how does this look? ETC is my own little pet project of insanity. I think this chart looks very good, not just because I own it, but I own it because I think it looks good. Unfortunately, it looks like this thing's going to actually attempt something eventually. So I like it as a insanity hedge in case it actually moves up. It looks pretty good. Algo kind of bouncing. Again, a lot of these charts have this potential for something, you know, shouldery throughout 2024. But there's what does that move from here? So, you know, do I really think this is going to make a 500% move? I don't think so, but I probably want to pick up a little bit just in case it does at some point, right? It's probably too early here, but why not? I don't know. Comp along the same lines of all the other Dino DeFi stuff, it looks fine. It's just not exciting like, you know, the stuff that's making all-time highs. Some of the layer 2s here, MATIC. More people are asking me about MATIC than I thought. So I don't know. My guess is there's a lot of people kind of trapped in some sort of staking position or something. I don't even know. It just doesn't look great. Is it going to break down? Probably not. Somebody was asking about Link BTC, sorry. But if we want to look at BTC charts, like for MATIC, you know, this thing is, it's in trouble, right? It's bounce or die. So I can finally delete that. It's bounce or die here. I wouldn't bet on bounce, but the cloud says it's pretty oversold here. I just don't know why MATIC would suddenly pull up over BTC. I think best case, you're hoping for, like, again, some sort of triple bottom, inverted head and shoulders thing for some confirmation. But I think it's way too early to start hoping that this thing bounces here. Doesn't mean it won't, but all right, Link BTC. Yeah, I talked about this one on the video. There are lots of levels on the way up. Adam and Eve all day. I just think, again, there's a lot of selling pressure coming in from, you know, our boys at Celsius or whoever else who's had to sell for whatever reason. Anyway, all right, let me catch up on chat. Well, let's look at ARB and OP real quick before I do that. Binance. Let's take a look. One thing about even MATIC, some of these layer 2s I think are just waiting for ETH to do something. This chart doesn't look horrible. It reminds me of MATIC, right? It's got that kind of potential for an M double top. It looks okay. You know, you're better off if you're like chasing momentum, probably looking at something else. OP, on the other hand, also had, let Let me see if I can find it. Do I have it on Kraken? No. Hold on, I'm on the wrong side. OP had this ascending triangle characteristic similar to ETH. I had thought that ETH would break first, but if it takes a layer 2 breakout for ETH to finally move, maybe. If ETH still lags a layer 2 breaking out, then things might be in trouble for ETH, right? But if this breaks the all-time highs, I'd expect ETH to be breaking up with it. Very similar chart over the same time period, right? We can compare ETH, where is it? Here it is. Okay, that didn't work. Let's go new right scale. And boom. Hey, wouldn't you know it? That ETH chart is almost identical to this layer 2. ETH actually outperforming a little bit. So maybe the layer 2s are catching up, but collectively, you know, I expect this stuff to move generally together. And we could even include probably Lido with that as well. Let's do new price scale. Lido also, you know, it's hard to see because it's literally inside of both of those charts. It's inside of those lines. Let me turn this off. We'll turn this off. So all this stuff probably moves together. So if one starts to outperform, I think that's good for the group because it generally means that the group is ready to move. I'm sure there are even more layer 2s or whatever that look similar to this. But it's one thing I noticed a couple weeks back going through all these charts on the layer 2s versus ETH. They all kind of look the same. For ETH, that's a bad thing. But for the group, it's a good thing. You know, because here there's no clear reason to jump into ETH over anything else. If anything, I'd rather trade OP optimism than ETH. That's not good for ETH. Anyway, that's those two. INJ. Did I talk about that one? I think a little bit. Oh yeah, we were talking about like where do you sell this? Like, you know, here, like, not that many people are asking me, besides Gosp, who's a fucking legend for talking about this like at 7, and I ignored him as far as buying it. But a logical target would be 44 to 54 based on the fib extensions. If you know, if you're looking for something to do, I don't think there is necessarily anything to do here, but 44 to 54 would be the extensions. All right, let me catch up on chat. I've been neglecting. Just been on a tear. Absolute tear. Filecoin, Phantom. All right, let's just hammer some of these out real quick. Phantom, yeah, I talked about Phantom on the alt video yesterday. Anytime I see a range, I avoid it. This is obviously a massive range, but it looks good for a retracement to the 50%, which would be a 2x from here. It looks okay. You know, it looks just about as good as everything else. Not bearish whatsoever. W double bottom. There's plenty of reasons why this keeps going, for sure. Looks great in my eyes on the USD pair. Filecoin. Interesting. Little notes here from past Josh. What do they say? They say things get interesting at 6. So we're getting close. Mike, good eye, good looks. I think I have an alert here, but just in case I don't, I'm going to add one. It's, what is it called on this? Lead 1, right? Yeah. So you want an alert. Look, what I always say with breakout trades, if you're confident, there's no reason you can't start accumulating. I just wouldn't go full hog on anything until the breakout. That's just me. That's one way to look at it. So if you're confident that this looks good enough to you or your trading system, which I'm not going to deny, that this looks pretty good, unfortunately, because it is Filecoin, but there's no reason to just ignore this and, you know, not accumulate or start to accumulate. But yeah, I need to add this to my stack of junk that I bought, because all I'm really caring about here in any of this stuff is the upside potential, right? Do I think this has a 900% move in it? I don't think so, but I want to be there in case it does, obviously. So for some wild reason, you know, if this goes up, I want to be there. I just want to write this down so I don't forget. I'm kind of depressed because Ray moved up a ton, and I mentioned that weeks ago. I said that was one of the best looking charts at the time. So it's not about being right or wrong. It's just finding this junk that looks possible for a move. Anyway, let me add an alert to, I said what, lead one, right? I already forgot. Yeah, lead one. Basically, this is just going to alert me for the edge-to-edge entry. Lead one crossing price. Is that an option? Why is it not an option? Expert alerter here. We'll just say 6. No, that won't make sense either. Whatever, I'm just going to buy some eventually and we'll figure it out. Anyway, this thing looks good for an edge to edge, right? All the notes are here from whenever we talked about it last. Looks good. You're also getting a bullish TK cross coming up on the weekly, which is another blessing for the edge to edge. One thing I've never looked at, here's something for the lagging span fans. Where do the lagging spans tend to be when we get our edge to edge moves? Let me just look. So above price, basically, I don't know, it's hard. See, it's hard to care about the lagging span when we're looking at these edge to edge moves. Anyway, file looks really good. Looks really good, unfortunately, for humanity. Yeah, I don't know. Another reason to be bullish is the previous all-time lows at what, 3 to 6? I don't know. It can't be bearish, that chart. Looks good. Good call out. Approval ETF. If so, how long do you think it will take? Do I feel like there will be a sell? So inevitably, as there are people here for Bitcoin, for the ETF announcement specifically, those people will be selling undoubtedly on the day. They will be selling on any pop higher. For people who need the product to be approved to get into Bitcoin, you know, for them it's not going to be bearish. It's just we've had an 8-week run up plus of straight up. We're going to get blow off insanity is my guess on the day. And then we're going to spend another 4 to 6 months repairing the chart. You know, it's my guess is it's going to look like closer to 2016 than 2019, 2020. 2016 we had the Bitfinex hack, but I think it could look like angry like that, right? Like week over week down, mega wick, just ugliness. So if you're here for that reason, then I do think you're selling on the day. Long term, I think it's super bullish. Oh man, somebody wants me to look at Ordi. Ordi. Okay, sure, fine. Here we go. Let's look at Ordi. You know, on most of these meme coins, I would sell them and never look at them again. That's not going to make me a rich man, but I just don't care enough to care about it. This could flag out here. You know, it doesn't look, it's kind of got this ambiguous thing about it, right? Like, is this a flag? Is this some sort of head and shoulders thing? I think if it loses 45, you're in trouble. I wouldn't be buying on support, me personally, but I don't know. I would just sell this and never look at it again. That's me, but it doesn't look frankly bearish. Prime. Sure, why not? Let's look at Prime. What do I have on here? So we got, what am I measuring? I don't even know. I guess the lows to the high at the time. Okay, so we hit the fib extension. Probably a bear div, yeah. Is there a bear div? No, there wouldn't be a bear div on Ordi because it's sideways. Again, I would sell this, never look at it again. That's me. If price is near the TK lines above the cloud, what is the significance, if any, of price being a far distance from the cloud? If the TK lines, so that generally means like, let's go to Solana on the daily or something, right? Here's that old inverted head and shoulders as well on Solana. We're hitting that target. You know, this mega monster of a thing. Anyway, if price is super far away from everything, that just means you're overbought or you're oversold. From a trade setup perspective, it also says your stop losses are really far away on that time frame. So like, let's say on the daily Sol chart, the Tenkin, the blue line, has really held up price really nicely. Currently, that's all the way down at 76, and we're at 92, right? The cloud is another stopping out point. It's all the way down at 48. If we go to like the, let's go to like the 200-day moving average, right? That's all the way down here at 31. So this is kind of various shades of lower and higher time frame moving averages. So when it looks like this, it just tells you there's lots of momentum, right? There's lots of positive momentum here. And we are surging past the moving averages. I'm looking for Bollinger Bands because, you know, if we, for instance, if we start to open the day outside of the Bollinger Bands, that's usually a pretty good sign of being overbought as well. And you can look at percent B for that as well, you know, similar to RSI, all kind of the same stuff. But it just tells you that you're mooning, you know, in this case. DYDX, let's take a look. I think this one was sideways from memory, last I checked. Looks like Aave, looks like all the Dino DeFi stuff, right? It would be in the weekly cloud if it had one. You know, this is Total 3, this is Aave, this is SNX, this is Comp. You know, all these are going to be similar. Just because I'm curious, what does GMX look like? GMX. Not bullish by any means. Maybe, you know, I'm not touching this ever, but just something to watch for on this one. Maybe a head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders type thing. Not anything I'm actually trading, but anyway. KDA. We're just going down the list here, folks. I'll look at anything. KDA. Looks like it is trying to bottom. I'll give you that. Doesn't look terrible, right? Doesn't look terrible. Looks okay. This is a exchange token, I think, right? I think. ETH dead cat bounce says gasp. Oh, ETH to 03, ETH BTC to 035. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think ETH BTC's toast. Absolute toast in the near term. Near pumped more than DOT today, says. I don't even know how to say that name. Yeah, I guess so. Again, another one that's kind of getting ahead of itself on the cloud side of things on the weekly. Alts tend to move faster anyway, but looks fine, right? Like, what do you do with this? Well, we can pop on the pivots. What do the pivots say? Pivot at 77777. Okay. That's like a 2x from here. Is there any obvious VPVR levels? That's another thing we can look at. Not really. Maybe 4? I don't know. I don't think there's anything to do, you know? Just let it be. INJ, yeah, we talked about INJ. Again, like, there's, for most people, there's nothing to do here. Just let it do its thing. Shaves them at 55. I don't know. Trading gloves are on. Indeed. GC says sell the news. I agree. Coinbase will go down. I agree with that as well. Yeah, so GOSP says they might delay the ETFs until March, which is probably an edge case, hopefully, but a possibility. So I think, you know, if you're trying to like think about ways the market would get angry, and it's generally been a free ride for most people, as in all they had to do is keep longing their longs and, you know, be a dumb bull about it, including myself. Generally, there's no free rides. So if Gensler wants to deny the January ETF that has its last, so there's three dates, right? One of the ETFs, I think the ARK ETF, is on its last date for approval or denial. That's another one of the reasons people think it's going to be batch approvals in January. But what they could do is deny that one and then delay the others. ARK would refile, and then they would all get approved in March, potentially. Definitely something to watch out for on the day. So that could be ugly. Can you talk about cash redemption versus in-kind? I'm the wrong person to ask about that. In-kind is better, but it sounds like they're worried. The SEC is worried about money laundering. I don't know. Yeah, Joey, do you know how I got these scars? It's better for everybody. There's less transaction fees involved if it's in-kind in Bitcoin terms versus cash. But look, we'll take an ETF at this point. Any way we can get it. I don't think the issuers are going to say, oh no, I don't want that if it's cash only or cash redemption. GBTC conversion would prefer in-kind. I agree with that. There was somebody talking about, somebody in the weeds about why it doesn't matter as much as we think it does for GBTC. So everybody wanted in-kind. It's better for everybody. There's lower fees. It's probably quicker, but the SEC appears to have said no on that. How do I use future Kumo Cloud for reversal? So that's just part of the checklist, you know, like ETH-BTC, for example, was, where was this bearish? So we were here, right, on ETH-BTC. And when you get your Kumo twist like this, for me, that tips being in the cloud from neutral to bearish, because you're starting to tick off the checklist, right? If you're above the cloud, you're bullish. If you're below, you're bearish. Bullish cloud is bullish. Bearish cloud is bearish. So this is starting the process of getting increasingly bearish, right? Not only that, but you've got this edge-to-edge trade on the cloud as well. That's also telling you we probably go to '05 at that time. And this was, what was this? August? So that's one way to look at this. One way to pay attention to the future cloud. Something else that's important for something like BTC, the cloud's going to pull up super quick in the next couple weeks, which is super bullish. You can see in 2020, it took us basically a year to flip that future cloud bullish. And again, it's not bullish on the day, right? It's bullish way in advance. So this was our cloud. Even before the weekly breakout, the cloud was telling you this is leans bullish, right? Are we through the cloud yet at this point? No. But again, the cloud is trying to tell you it's okay to be bullish here, right? It leans bullish. TK cross is bullish, right? We had a chart pattern. I think even, yeah, so I was on Twitter screaming about this. I was like, guys, there's a bullish TK cross coming on the daily. This is going to be really bullish. And sure enough, I didn't know it was going where it was going, but I knew that the trend was lining up to be bullish. So that's why it's worth paying attention to the future cloud. Even though it doesn't tell you to get into a position necessarily when the checklist isn't complete, It's just telling you to lean. There's a bias here, right? The bias is getting more and more bullish finally. Another place to look at that would be GBTC, because that one's going to flip. GBTC on a tear, by the way. GBTC is at 48 already, past 48 on the spot equivalent. But for the cloud, this is going to flip within the next couple weeks, I'd imagine. Does it make me any more bullish on GBTC? Not really, but the cloud's going to flip there. While we're here, let's just talk about the discount real quick. It's currently at 6. Is this the smallest? Yeah, I think that's 6 or 7, something like that. What a monster journey that has been. Anyway, so that's why the future cloud is super valuable. Even, another example just on the daily, right? If we look at stuff like this, the future cloud is telling you, get ready, get ready. That's why I like gross stuff like ETC on high time frames, because I know that the future cloud is ready to flip. The bullish Kumo twist is about to happen here. Doesn't guarantee anything. It just says clearly the trend is different than it was for the past 3 years. 3 years. So that's why it's important to pay attention to that. Anyway, so the cloud love the cloud. Proud of the cloud. All right, I lost. Where were we? KDA we looked at. Uni, sure. Yeah, I mean Uni again. This I wish there was a DeFi index. That's one thing we really need in crypto, is like sector indices that are long running and back tested and free. Looking at US&P Global, there are indices that are available, but they're not free. Anyway, yeah, I mean this looks good, right? It's above the 3-day cloud. I just picked the 3-day because it's some high time frame. It's almost in the weekly cloud. There's obviously an Adam and Eve here. The future cloud, the Kumo, is about to twist bullish. If anything, this looks more bullish than ETC does, right? It obviously has this Adam and Eve as well. Had a But what is this? Descending triangle. Looks fine. Looks good. The problem is on the, you know, let's look at like a bizarre pair like Solana. Can you just imagine what that chart looks like? Right? The problem is as this stuff's sort of consolidating. Excuse me. As it's consolidating on the USD side, it's, you know, losing out to other stuff on the relative value side. So up until the Bitcoin ETF, I expect everything to just get walloped against the BTC relative value trade, right? After the ETF, after halving, we can talk, but up until that point, I don't think there's a reason to be super hyper bullish anything else in general. Obviously, there's some stuff that's moving, but I would watch the ETH, I would watch the layer 2s, and then I'd watch Dino DeFi in that order to see what's moving. If some of those start to move independently, you know, SNX kind of tried to, right? Aave a little bit slower. Anyway, but as a group, it's all kind of lagging everything else. GRT, but it looks good on the USD pair. You know, if you're just trading uni, sure. Looks like a reversal in progress for sure. GRT had some notes on here. Looks like a, you know, W double bottom could eventually lead to another, like an ascending triangle deal over time. I always prefer that because then my confidence grows in the direction. It doesn't have to stop here in reverse, but for me, it's a better trade, better case for the trade. But a double bottom is certainly fine. Weekly, yeah, again, it's kind of like the Dino DeFi stuff, right? It looks fine now. It looks like a trade is there, just not as exciting as some of this other stuff. What else we got here? Take a look at Say and Sui. Sure. Some of the newer ETH killers. Let's just do this. Let's do this over this, just because I'm curious. Like, sure, so sure, ETH is losing to Sol, but is it losing to like this new stuff too? It is. It is. So this is Sui ETH. Looks like it's trying to bottom. Also looks like this could be, you know, head and shoulders. But yeah, man, ETH is just getting absolutely destroyed on every front, isn't it? Sui on the daily looks okay, right? Look, if we're above the cloud, great, right? I think you got to watch for this channel. I never know where the channel thing is. Is it here? Channel. Clearly there's something there, right? I don't know. Looks fine. Say. What am I circling down there? That was the bottom. What did I do down there? I mean, looks fine, right? It's above the cloud. Probably has a bear div. We can look. Bear div-ish? Yeah. It's on the daily. It was bear div. I don't know. You know, what do you do with something that's in price discovery? For me, I just always do the same thing. Is there a div? What do the pivots look like? Well, we can't look at the yearly pivots because there's not even an entire year previously trading. We can go to like the monthly pivots. So there's a pivot. You know, there's tons of resistance levels. We can measure the fibs from high to low, 45 to 53. You know, so there's some targets to let go of, but doesn't look terrible. I don't know. You know, for most people, again, they're better off just doing nothing rather than over trading. Link BTC we took a look at. Took a look at Pepe. James asked about Filecoin. Hopefully I answered that during the Filecoin Love Fest section I had. Yes, there's definitely an edge-to-edge setup there. A pretty disgusting edge-to-edge potentially, yeah. Just reading, see if we got anything else. Thanks for stopping by, folks. Give me a like or whatever they tell people to do. Sorry, just lost chat again. Ray, yeah. So this is one that I was just too lazy, but you can find it in one of the streams. Couple weeks back at this point, probably a month ago, when I said at that time that this is the best looking chart on the day. Because again, you know, TA doesn't guarantee anything. It just tells you a pattern matching system that historically has a bias one way or the other. Double bottoms have a bullish bias. Adam and Eves have a bullish bias. I am not shocked at all that this chart has gone to where it's gone. The question, you know, if you're not in this, I wouldn't touch it. That's just me. But for the people that are, you know, does this thing really get to 7? Maybe. But that's a target anyway, right? So we got 7. Again, we can turn on the fibs. And we can use the yearly fibs. Great. Next yearly fib is at 241. You can measure the fib from the breakout as well. I'm guessing we're way past that, which we are. Not only did it look good at the time and continues to look good, but Solana had momentum, which is another reason why, you know, you've got people asking me about ETH ecosystem stuff. And that's just not where the party's at right now. You know, the party is still raging on Solana side. So anything Solana related is probably going to do better than the ETH stuff for now. So that was another like important checkbox for Ray. But it looks really good. Looks really good. Yeah, I like 240 as the next spot, but if it starts to break down, whatever the 50% level is, so 87, it's these downside and upside targets sound absurd, but when this stuff collectively starts to break down, you know, you'll know. You won't need me to tell you that DOT's going to break down to like 6, you know, from 12 or whatever it ends up going. Okay, Mike, yep, we looked at Filecoin, Doge, we looked at, I can look at it again, 936, time to open that long. Time to open that long, right? Yeah, I mean, that to me, this is longable. It's a meme coin. Meme coins are so hot right now. It's got the pattern on its side. Looks fine. Looks fine. Yeah, we looked at algo. You know, honestly, I would rather sit in algo for the next 6 months than worry about like where am I going to sell Sol. Just because of the upside potential. That's all. What else we got? bunch of stuff I've never heard of. Farm? NMR? What is this stuff? Rose? These aren't real coins. They can't be real coins. Say Sui we looked at. Vet, sure. Near we looked at. That's one of these ancient coins, right? Yeah, I mean, look, it doesn't matter what sort of hunk of junk this stuff is. If it's got a double bottom on the weekly, if it is pushing into the weekly cloud, for my system, for what I do, you guys know what I do, it says go for it, right? Like, so, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Looks good. Looks good. All right, let me spend half a second on this piece of trash. You know, it looks fine. Looks like a rising wedge. Clearly someone's pumping and dumping this eventually. I would sell it and never look at it again. That's just me. Woo. Well, clearly, Woo had, this is a exchange token, right? I think. So this is what I expect all of ETH stuff to look like, right? OP, R, BITO, ascending triangle breakout, just vanilla. Looks good. 50% is at 55 to 65 would be the next target. But it looks fine. I guess the other thing to measure would be the ascending triangle breakout, which we've hit those targets. So, you know, it depends what your time horizon is, but looks good. Looks really good. GALA. I think I looked at this one during... Yeah, I mean, it looks like all the other trash, right? It's got a double bottom. It's got the cloud on its side eventually here. It might lag some of the other stuff. But I'm so confident it's going to break this level that I'm going to put an alert on this level. Looks good. Looks good, right? It's just, at this point, it's a matter of like, how do you allocate between all this stuff? Do you you just chase SOL, or do you start to allocate into this other junk with the expectation that it's going to start moving? That's obviously up to you. I don't know. FIDA. Yeah, same thing. You know, like instantly with the cloud or whatever, you're going to know. Right? Let's put another alert on this. I'll bet you it will do its thing. What else we got? Band. Yes, let me look at, sorry, Mr. Gaines. I will look at the miners in some legacy stuff here in a second. I'm reading the YouTube chat. AN53, brother, I'm in the chat, brother. I'm deep in the chat, brother. Josh without hat, more like, okay. Bearishness on XMR. I mean, look, guys, I like XMR like the next guy. I love the tech, but, you know, this thing hasn't moved. It's like ETH. It's hard. This is like, you know, starting a diesel engine in the Siberian tundra. Okay, it's hard to cold start this thing, and it's not, there's no excitement going on. All right, I lost. We were gonna do FTM. We did MINA. Sure, Ray. I did. Thanks, Dr. Manhattan. You know, Monero will move. It's just gonna not keep up with anything. That's just a fact. MINA, same thing as all this other junk, right? You can. Well, here's what I'd do. If you have a premium, Okay, you have a premium account on TradingView. This is what I would do. I'd pick your 8 to 10 favorites, whatever they are for whatever reason. I would stack them up like this. This is just an old setup I had. Stack them up like this, right? If I was trying to decide allocations, because people keep asking me. I would look at the chart. I would look at the sector. Is it a layer 1? Is it on its own? Is it a meme coin? Is it ETH related, right? I would line them up like this and look at the allocations from there. To me, it makes more sense to rotate out of Solana than rotate in. This Solana might go to 1,000, I don't know. But in the moment, it's up 800% on the year, I think. Right? Which is absolutely disgusting. Whatever, what is it? It's at least 600. That isn't to say it won't keep outperforming. I just think the probability says if the entire market's going to run, yeah, give me some Filecoin. Give me some GALA. Give me some FTM. Give me some Aave and SNX and not Zcash, but you know, other stuff that looks good relative to where Solana is here. Anyway, yeah, MINA looks good. Looks good. That we just looked at. Sorry, I'm bouncing around. I need to hire an intern. Oh man, I need to hire a merch. If you're a merch person, that's what I need. People keep asking me for merch. I don't know. I tried to like figure it out, but hard to navigate for me. Just reading chat. What else we got? You can get 20 of an underperforming for one thing and something that is performing better. What? That confuses me. Okay, let's look at STX, then we'll flip back to legacy. So I remember people talking about this. Admittedly, I don't know much about what this actually does. Isn't it like some Bitcoin layer 2 gimmick? Anyway, there were people talking about this at a quarter. I remember that much. I think, no. Anyway, Sailor talked about it yesterday. Somebody asked him. I think he mentioned it, so it went bananas on that. It looks great, right? I mean, what do you say? This is basically the equivalent of Solana in the weekly cloud. It looks really good. Would I buy some here? I would not, but looks fine, you know? Again, like, it's at the Bitcoin equivalent of 48. You know, if this is Bitcoin's 48K level on the USD pair, then we're basically there. You can measure, we'll just call it all-time high right there. You know, so it's already at the 50% retrace. The next level would be all-time high. You know, that's a 2x almost from here. I think it looks fine. The best place to get in would have been the inverted head and shoulders down here at 77. But looks good. Looks really good. Let's look at ETH as we rotate into legacy stuff on the cloud. Certainly it looks better than spot ETH does, but you know, not amazing. I still have this thought in my mind where do I actually want to take this trade, this rotation from GBTC to ETH? And this chart's saying no, you know, it's saying it had a chance, but it's also saying now this is breaking down, which makes sense because ETH BTC is breaking down. So maybe Gosh, I don't even know. I'm trying to think, where do you put an alert? Maybe like down here at 0.4. Let me get rid of this nonsense. I think if it gets down there, that is a reasonable rotation. And I expect it to get there in January. Definitely, I expect it to go down there. If it didn't recover on an inverted head and shoulders play, which it looks like it doesn't, it's not going to, that's what I would look to do myself. Again, I'm just talking to myself here, but anyway, BitX 2x ETF. Kind of a mess. It's funny when you go to like the legacy stuff and there's all these gaps, and it's like, you know, sometimes it's useful. I hope this isn't an M double top. It doesn't, I don't know anything about gaps, candlestick patterns, that sort of thing. So it is what it is. We can look at BITO on the daily. Sometimes the legacy stuff that's been around long enough has actionable stuff worth paying attention to. Just trying to see, like, you know, we had this inverted head and shoulders, we've hit that target. There's, you know, this TKC clamp looks much worse than spot, right? The TK disequilibrium is wider, the Kijun is flat for longer. RSI, yeah, look at RSI here, you know. So if there's anything that makes me bearish, it's this, which is just futures, Bitcoin futures ETF. Bear div, TK disequilibrium doesn't guarantee that we break down, but it definitely looks kind of angry. Yeah, anyway. All right, let's look at the group of miners first. What a day. What a day. What a week. What a month. What a year for the miners. Look at this. Just outrageous. These have outperformed. You know, if we go, let's put ETH or Bitcoin on here. Percentage-wise, year to date, which is important, not since inception, but year to date, miners have smoked spot. Absolutely smoked. You can see the beta, right? You can see the amplification in the bullish moves. This is one of the reasons to pay attention to gold and gold miners, for example, right? Similar concept. You know, this looks great, continues to look great. I'm glad that the product exists. Volume is crazy. Like, look at this volume ramp, right? And this is kind of what in the ETF world, this stuff just doesn't go online automatically, right? And you can kind of see that with this product. You could say like Valkyrie, the issuer, the company that I used to work for, is lesser known than BlackRock. So BlackRock's going to have an easier time getting this stuff hooked up and getting access for people. To me, it looks like this specific product was just sort of like on the do not trade list for a lot of people in some way, shape, or form. And then 2023 hit, and either the product had been around long enough, or people understood the issuer, or blah, blah, blah reason, right? And in 2023, the volume just exploded, right? Absolutely exploded. Yes, everything was bullish, but I would still expect some volume even when things are bearish. Anyway, so this is really good. This is what you want to see for anything. Trend-wise, it looks great. Clearly, it's in the stratosphere. It's an insane-looking chart, but it looks really good, you know? Marathon, by the way. again, like what do you do with this? You know, if you're truly bullish, if you're honest with yourself, if you think this is the bottom of the cycle, why are you selling anything? That's just a general question for anybody. I wouldn't want to make sure I didn't have a bat in the cave, which I still might. I don't know. If you think this is the bottom of the cycle or the beginning of a cycle, even at 43, I wouldn't sell something like Mara. Just saying. If you're bullish BTC, if you're bullish miners, I don't think you look at this until 2024, until 2025. If you're bullish crypto, I don't think you look at coin until 2024, 2025, like the end of 2024, the beginning of 2025. Even then, just give it some room. This thing can run, right? If things are truly getting started, air quotes, and this is just like the mini cycle, then this stuff can really run, you know? So are there targets at 185 and 200 on coin? Absolutely. If I turn on the right cloud. Are there targets on Mara at 27, 33, 43? Sure. But look at this chart pattern. It's insane. You know, and you can see that on WGMI as well. WGMI is just a basket of miners. Look at this weekly volume. Man. Just very proud of this product, gotta say. As somebody who was here during the lean times, man. Just really glad to see that product take off. Square is another one. I just finally sort of bit the bullet and bought some a couple days ago. Not a lot, but another crazy chart that will probably do very well. They have Bitcoin, they're crypto adjacent. If crypto does well, Bitcoin does well, everything related should do well. Just to some relative value. The thing to think about, like MSTR is a great example. Is the ETF going to help them or hurt them? Is it going to help them in a sense that it should be bullish for Bitcoin? Or is it going to hurt them in a sense that people can just access the ETF and would rather deal with that than MSTR? Is it going to help them if the fees are higher on the ETFs? I don't know. Chart looks great. There's your bullish future cloud. Things look good. Things look good. What else are you going to say? You know? Hood. Yeah, Hood's another one I should probably put on the list, huh? Again, crypto adjacent. They have crypto products. They have the type of chart. It looks like Link, you know? Look at, let's pull it up. Hold on. If we copy the candles, kind of afraid that I'm developing a Philadelphia accent. That's a problem. Where the heck is the candle thing that I'm looking for? Here we go. All right, so we take this over to Hood. It's not going to line up perfectly, but you know, you get the point. This is the type of, I don't think it's Wyckoff per se, but it's the type of market cycle bottom type thing that if you're truly bullish crypto, this is another way to get exposure. The exchanges. Hood, Coinbase, exchange tokens for crypto natives, right? Anyway, looks good, you know? Does it look better than Filecoin? Does it look better than Solana? That's a question for the individual trader to think about. But You know, if this thing starts cooking, what's the 50%? 46. If Hood starts to compete with Coinbase, which theoretically it could, then it should do really well. You know, here's another. Let's do this fun experiment, right? Hood relative to coin. Ain't nobody looking at this chart. That's why you're here. That's why you come to this stream on a Tuesday, 1 hours and 50 minutes in. So we had a massive head and shoulders breakdown, and I would watch for a little Adam and Eve type stuff down here. But just an example of a way to continue to use this relative value knowledge that you already have inherently in crypto for a legacy, right? I've also seen people taking, you know, again, relative value, coin or Bitcoin. What would you rather have? I know what I would rather have. I know what the better trade is based on the chart, but I don't know what I'd rather hold. To me, this looks like coin is the better trade, hands down. This could also be a range trap, right? Where this could just get in range-bound hell for 2 years. But it looks like it's trying to get out of this range, you know? Is this going to make me sell Bitcoin to buy coin? No, but is it going to maybe get me to buy coin over Bitcoin? Maybe. So, something to think about. What else? PayPal. I'll take a look at that. RIOT also looks good. Some of these miners, I'm not bullish miners in general. I've said this before. I just think it's a tough business model, especially after halving. But if you're one of the bigger guys, you'll probably do okay. And if you're listed, then you know, the public's not going to know better. So this looks good. RIOT looks good. CleanSpark, just absolute rocket ship. Insane moves. I mean, this is a 200% move in a month. Is your altcoin giving you a 200% move in a month? You have to go to like bonk or down the risk curve, right? And look at this volume. Crazy volume. Crazy volume. One thing, again, relative value discussion. If CleanSpark hits this weekly cloud, I would rotate some of it into RIOT. I would rotate some of it into, let's look at HUT, right? Another miner. To me, these can also still keep moving. CleanSpark may continue to outperform, but the risk reward for this specific trade still looks good. I'm lazy, so I'm just going to hold WGMI and not worry about it. But that's one way to think about it. The relative value between all the miners. Just line them up and see which ones look like they've underperformed. Usually they've underperformed for a reason, but not necessarily. PayPal still has a falling wedge. Somewhat crypto adjacent. They have crypto stuff. You know, look, doesn't look horrible as far as a down the road trade. 60 to 120, something like that. 66 to 120. I forget who asked me, but anyway, let me catch up on chat in our final few minutes here. Thanks for stopping by. Don't be afraid to hit that like button, folks. Do I trade full time? I do trade full time, Chris. What else we got? I looked at GMX. It looked kind of meh, you know. Inverted head and shoulders potential, but that's down the line, down the road. Needs to consolidate. Nvidia relative to BTC. Yeah, so any sector, intra-sector chart, any crypto adjacent Nvidia at one point arguably was crypto adjacent. Nvidia is held within WGMI for that very reason. Nvidia relative to BTC. So it looks like it's trying to bottom, I guess. I'm not a believer in Nvidia up here, so I'm never going to hold this alone by itself. I just think it's way overbought. Way overbought. So I would never never sell BTC for Nvidia regardless of the chart, but yeah. Thanks, Kevin. Kevin said I was the best person to ever live. I'm paraphrasing, but that's kind of what he said. Nvidia's working on some sort of CPU, which would be interesting. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think we're just about coming up to time, and that's all I got anyway. We looked at pretty much the important stuff. IWM also pulling up to highs, trying to get higher. Gold, there's some low time frame gold chart pattern. Good luck to the boomers trading that. This will break out eventually on this time frame and the monthly time frame. It's just you know, why even bother trading this, paying attention to it? That's just my opinion. Don't make me bring up a bearish soul tweet. What was my bearish soul tweet? I'm sure there was one. Fundamentally, I'm bearish on anything that's not Bitcoin. Yeah, I think that's all we got. Thanks, guys. TLT, last one. TLT, because it's on my list. TL flippin' T. It is pulling up. Tons of volume coming into that thing. Jesus. Way through the weekly or daily cloud. It looks fine. I'm never going to trade this. I'm telling you that right now. But we quote unquote called the bottom with the inverted head and shoulders. Looks great, you know. Smash that flippin' like button, boys and gal. All right, that's all we got for this one. Tune in next time. Next week we got a stream tomorrow potentially with Ledger. Happy whatever you do. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Festivus. What else? What other ones are there? I don't even know. I don't know. New Year. Thanks for hanging out. Things look pretty bullish. It's hard to be bearish. DOT now up 19% on the day. Algo 12. OP 12. I think if I had to guess, Solana's going to start slowing down ish. If I had to guess, just because of the relative value between everything else, it's getting juicy. Solstice, happy solstice, Merry Chrysler, whatever. whatever you do. All right. Till next time. Take care.